Okay. Hi folks, good afternoon. You're very welcome to the Aviva Stadium. My name is Jim Binchy and I'm the Managing Director of Hachette Ireland, and we're here on behalf of our publisher, Weidenfeld & Nicholson, who's part of the Orion Group of Publishers. We're very proud to be publishing Roy and Roddy's book. I was originally going to say, when I put these two words together, welcome to this world exclusive launch of Roy Keane's autobiography, but a certain gentleman in Manchester has scuppered that somewhat. An unfortunate incident, but I gather now he's first in line for the job in the new Tesco store in Kazakhstan, so more about that anon. But what we do have is the first world exclusive press launch of the second half, and that in itself is quite an achievement. We're delighted that Roddy is here with us today as well. Without him obviously the book wouldn't have happened. It's an unusual collaboration in the world of publishing, but that's what makes it so unique and so special. It's hard to believe that it's 12 years since Roy's last book. A lot of water has been under the bridge since then. And contrary to what some people would have you believe, this is not a retelling of old stories again. This is a completely new material. And in fact, it begins with the now infamous incident concerning Roy and Alfie Haaland, and moves quickly on from there. It's not a book just about Manchester United and Alex Ferguson. There's much, much more to it than that. Since 2012, since the last book, Roy has been a player, he's been a pundit, he's been a manager, he's been an assistant manager of both Premiership and national teams. So there's a lot to be said. There is no retelling of old stories. This is completely new material, and anybody who thinks different is sadly disillusioned, because a lot has happened in 12 years. We're going to get straight into questions. Before we start, can I just ask that you please state your name and your affiliation. Try and keep the questions as short as possible. We don't have a lot of time. We'd like to get as many people covered as possible, so clearly and succinctly, and we'll go straight into questions. So we have a roving mic, which may be of help to some people. Thank you, Helen. And we start here in the front and try and work backwards.
Thanks. It's Joyce Vegan from the Herald newspaper. I was just wondering, Roddy Doyle's known for perfecting his Dublin dialogue, and with you from Cork, did he capture your voice in the book?
Yeah, I think so. One of the reasons I've worked with Roddy, I know what a good writer he is. I had no real plans to write with, to be honest with you. Plenty of offers over the last few years, particularly when people were telling a pack of lies about me over the years. So, but when I met Roddy, I thought, yeah, we'll go for it. I think Roddy said at the start it was quite difficult after he recorded lots of stuff to understand what I was saying with my accent, but he got there eventually, and it was really enjoyable, I have to say, and I'm pleased with it, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Next question just here in the front. Thanks, Helen.
Certain criticisms that you've made of certain people in the book, but when you actually read it, you've also made a lot of criticism of yourself. So do you think maybe it's a bit unfair the way people are presenting the book?
I think it's been with the leak I think it was last Monday or something like that. Obviously, people have got snippets from the book, and I obviously grab one or two headlines as you'd expect. But yeah, I think the book is a fair reflection on, I suppose, the situations I've had over the last few years, whether it be with players or managers, and I've been pretty harsh probably with myself in a lot of situations, the mistakes I made. But as I said, when I done the book, it wasn't about even for people to like the book. It's just about me getting a chance to reflect on certain things. If people like it, they do. If they don't, then so be it. But as I said, I think it's quite upbeat as well. There's lots of some good stories, had some great days. Obviously people will, again, as you said, focus on the negative stuff, whether it be even the World Cup and obviously at United, but some great days, and work with some great lads, and hopefully that comes across as well. And it's not all about falling out with people. You know, strange enough, I think in the course of the book, or in the course of my career, I actually don't think I fell out with that many people. But obviously the ones I did were obviously highlighted, and but no, as I said, okay. If people like it, they like it.
Darren Cleary, FM 104. Roy, you said you regretted apologising to Alex Ferguson after the way you left United. Do you think you'll ever forgive him?
Good question. I'm not sure. not sure. Like football's a small world, and eventually you think you will cross paths with people again, and whether I ever bump into them or not, whether it be at a game or sometimes there's conferences going on. The problem I suppose I had, and one of the reasons again when you're writing stuff and you're reflecting on it, is that when you've worked with somebody for such a long time, and obviously we had our disagreements, and I departed, and I had no problems with that. That's fine. It's afterwards when people start, coming up with all sorts of nonsense, and for Alex Ferguson, not just to criticise myself, but for other players who were part of a team that, brought some good days to lots of supporters, and for him to criticise that when you think of what he made out of it, he made millions of pounds on it, he got his statues, he's got his stand named after him, to come back and then criticise. Again, I said at the time, I wasn't too bothered about myself, but to criticise people who brought him success was just ridiculous. So, would I ever forgive him? I don't know. Listen, I don't know. We'll see if we ever cross paths again. I'm sure we will. Cross paths, I mean.
I just want to ask you 3 quick questions. First of all, just while we're talking about Alex Ferguson, I don't know if you're aware, but he's in Dublin tonight at the convention centre. Maybe would you plan on crossing paths with him this evening and maybe calling him up for a quick pint? And secondly, just are you planning to maybe keep the beard or get rid of it anytime soon?
In terms of meeting the manager, we're preparing for the game on Saturday. I know people thought this might be the distraction, but I'm working with professional players and professional people, and this is no big deal doing this afternoon. So no, I'll be busy tonight, obviously getting ready for the game on Saturday. So there's no meeting up. And the beard, no, I'm just been obviously a little bit lazy, and but if you want me to get rid of it, I might.
Tommy Martin, TV3. Roy, there's been a lot said about you over the years, and misconceptions and misunderstandings. Does this book represent what you'd like to think is the real you?
Well, I don't know about the real me, because you're always going to hide some parts of your character. Like people are saying it's this and it's honest, but a lot of this is part of, the stuff that's been said about me over the years, even from ex-teammates, just pack of lies, just lies and lies and lies. And sometimes you go, listen, I've got to get up and say something myself and defend myself a little bit. And hopefully the book will reflect that. But in terms of the real me, hopefully you'll never get to see that or get to know that, because that's part of the game, isn't it? Your job is to try and find out little bits of snippets, and you'll have your own contacts. I know there's people in this room here who've got mates who are quite happy to tell lies about me, and it's okay for people to print it. So every now and again, you have to defend yourself. And a lot of stuff I let go, lots of stuff I let go. But eventually you go, no.
Okay.
Enough's enough.
Thank you. This gentleman.
Roy, Stephen Doyle, 98 FM. I was reading the part about where you went to meet Brian Kerr, and you were saying that you were very proud of being Irish and proud of being from Cork, but that's something that's grown stronger as you've got older. Can you maybe tell us why that is?
No, I think obviously a lot of stuff was written over the years, going back to one or two idiots really who would, I suppose, power to write headlines in the Irish media about me not wanting to play for my country and all that carry on. And obviously I had problems at United, sometimes getting for games, and people tend to figure I had a lot of injury problems, particularly in my mid-20s, going back to my cruise ship, and then I had a hip problem and a few knee injuries. So maybe, I said in the book, maybe I got distracted by all that as well and got sucked into, I suppose, the politics of the game. And I probably was guilty of that. And sometimes you're under pressure from your club and prioritising. But I think I've had a chance certainly to reflect over the last few years, and particularly getting back involved in Ireland. And I suppose refocusing and looking on what's important and what's not important, because the same people who put me under pressure even at the time about international football are the same people who didn't care less about how Ireland done anyway. So I suppose there was plenty of distractions on that, and a lot of pressure on me from different people, including Ferguson and people like that. So that's part of it. I look back and think, yeah, there's a few regrets on that side of it, where I should have probably fought my corner a bit more. And I had the same, I suppose, even at Forest. I had one or two incidents, with underage teams with Ireland, and as I said, it's not trying to be clever after you know, again, hindsight's a wonderful thing with football, but I wish I'd kind of hadn't took my eye off the ball with the Irish stuff, you know, but it did and it happened, and that's why the chance to get back involved in Ireland was fantastic for me from a selfish point of view, and it just rekindled what I love about the game, because whatever's gone on the book, the fights, the disagreements, you know, I still love the game of football, you know, but unfortunately with the industry I'm in now, you can't get distracted, and I see other players doing exactly the same now, so hopefully my experience can help them and say, listen, just focus on the game and don't worry about, you know, all the other nonsense that's going on around it.
This gentleman here.
I remember a phone going off before. Hi, Roy. Andy May from BT Sport. You speak in the book about Celtic and their interest in you a short while ago. In future, if they did want you more, as obviously you put it in the book, they didn't really show you enough that they wanted you, would you consider going to Celtic as their manager?
I think you have to be open-minded. I try to explain the situation. Obviously with the Celtics, I'm not saying I was probably about 10th choice. I heard on the grapevine there was one or two other people that turned the job down, which wasn't an issue for me. But at the time, the negotiations didn't go the way I'd hoped they would have gone. But I'm not sitting around waiting for people to lose their jobs. You know, I think I need to be careful what I say, because obviously the new Celtic manager, and you want to wish him well. So I don't sit back and go, well, if these come corner, that, you know, the madness of the game, you just don't know what's around the corner. All I know is that I'm focused on working with obviously Martin and the rest of the staff and the players, and you know, getting used to my role as well at Aston Villa. So I'm not sitting around waiting for managers to lose their job. No, I'm not that type of personality. I honestly hope all other managers do well, but of course the game doesn't work out that way, and managers will lose their jobs. But I'm not sitting around waiting for the phone to ring, I have to say.
Roy, Patrick Davison from Sky Sports. With, like you say, nonsense from ex-teammates, things you put about ex-teammates in your book yourself, is it now an accepted part of football that what happens behind the scenes doesn't stay in-house? That the dressing room maybe isn't sacred anymore?
Probably not, but obviously there was that maybe unwritten rule. I think, you know, what goes on, particularly going back over the years, you know, what happens on pre-season, stays pre-season, whatever, the on or off the pitch. So yeah, there is that element. There's a lot more stories coming out, but also the stuff I've gone into really is a lot of it is, again, in a sense, me defending myself against stuff that I thought was untrue, but also there was a lot of good stuff, really good stuff. You know, this idea of me falling up with everybody. I obviously had a disagreement with Peter, but you know, if you read the book last year, me and Peter were having breakfast together in London. You know, there was a good ending to it. You know, it wasn't. So, as I said, the question back earlier, you know, people would look at all the negatives, but a lot of good stuff, and whatever's gone on in my career, I look back, and the highlight for me has always been is the players I played with, always, and it's just, it probably is part of the industry, you know, that things that go on in dressing rooms will eventually get leaked out, because it's you know, players, it's a bit different now with, I think, lads. For example, I look at teams now and they get a good result, and there's pictures of players in the dressing rooms on Twitter and all this carry on, when they hadn't won the previous 10, you know, and now all of a sudden, I think it's okay when you win a title, you celebrate, and players are commenting on things. So yeah, the game is changing, that's the industry, that's the game. So I don't sit around now thinking I wish I was part of the dressing rooms. No, I look back and count my blessings at the lads I played with, whether it be at Forest or Rockmond or Cove or with Ireland or even at Sunderland and Ipswich, and go, yeah, some good days, some great days. But I don't miss the carry on that's gone on now amongst players. I think there is a certain lack of characters and good lads out there.
Anybody else?
Roy, I was interested to see in the book that when you're talking about leaving United in 2005, that's when they said that, when Alex Ferguson said to you that you felt you'd come to the end, that you say in the book that maybe you were
that we'd come to the end. I hadn't come to the end.
That you and United together had come to the end. That you agreed with that. I was interested to read that. Could you maybe explain why it was that you felt it had come to the end?
It's quite hard to explain, really. You just knew. Obviously, you had again a lot of the nonsense coming out, a lot of propaganda from United about this video, this leaked video that shouldn't have been played, I think. United were quite happy to let that run. Obviously they're disappointed. They've just been knocked out of the Champions League. Disagreeing about the video, I still fight my corner on that one. You know, it was just nonsense. You ask any of the players who've watched it, nobody had an issue with it except Ferguson and Kyrgios, because I think they'd already made their mind up anyway. Which again, I have no problem with. That wasn't the issue. It's just obviously afterwards when people are telling tales about me and saying this and that. So, but when I had the meeting with Ferguson and David Gill, and obviously my lawyer at the time, yeah, I did agree. Sometimes you just know these things. So that wasn't the problem. It was just, I think, the way it was handled, with statements and stuff coming out about me, that I'm pretty know where the source were coming from. And obviously Ferguson had pals in the media. He's got a few here today. I can spot him. You spot him a mile away. He has pals, so they'll put out little snippets about you and build a story about you, which is lies, basic lies. So I had to come out and say, listen, not at the time. I have to bide your time, and I've waited long enough. So here we go.
Can we just have time for one more, please? Thank you. This lady at the back who hasn't asked yet. Thank you.
Laura Linnett from the Irish Daily Mail. Remember you as a kid in Manchester. Just wanted to say that. So nice to see you. I just wanted to ask if you've got this kind of troubled relationship with Alex Ferguson. Who would you credit in your life for being your mentor? Who you'd look back and say, they helped me along the way, and thanks?
I think from like in terms of on the pitch, where I learned certainly would be, and I'll argue, you know, till the coach come on, people look back at your career, we're always quick to praise coaches and managers. Obviously, I go into with Brian Clough, but the people that helped me most in my career, from a football point of view, were my teammates. Simple as that. I've never worked with a coach generally, or a manager, or even where they can inspire to do something. It was always the stuff I learned mostly was from people like Stuart Pearce or Steve Bruce or Pallister, these boys. When you're actually in battles with them, you know, I think managers nowadays get too much credit, and also on the other side they get too much criticism when things go wrong. The things I certainly learned most as a player was the lads I played with, and obviously people will always look back on my career at United, but the lads really in Man United were absolutely fantastic, great lads. As I said, and just because of the disagreements, particularly obviously my situation with Peter, which again was obviously highlighted in the book, but the days I had with them lads at United were certainly probably the best days of my life. Absolutely fantastic, great lads winning trophies, and that's why for people to try and tarnish that and have little digs, that's why, as I said, you have to come out and you have to come out fighting, don't you? You know, like enough's enough.
Okay, good answer. Thank you. We're going to have to wrap this up now. Just to say, if any of you are interested, there is obviously another event with Roy and with Roddy. Interviewed with you, Cal. It's being presented by Easons on the 22nd of October in the RDS at 8 o'clock. So there'll be a chance to hear more about Roy's involvement in the book, and obviously Roddy's involvement in the book, which will no doubt be fascinating. For those of you who are lucky enough to have badges with regard to roundtable interviews, can I ask you to move